family. How I find her, it's a complicated thing. I will tell you. I was one day in the officers' club, and I looked through the American
Lists.
boys overseas, and I found overseas in Japan at that time was at war, a person by the name of Bernard Hollander. So and that he was an American soldier at that time in Japan. I never knew him, never saw him, but I remembered that my grandfather had two sisters in America from before the war. I don't know where, I didn't know that. But nevertheless, I found Hollander, so I wrote a letter. I could write freely, there was no stamps necessary, the American mail. And I wrote this guy, Bernard Hollander, where I am from, who I am, and I'm looking for family. And if you are family, let me know. He wrote me back, he knows very little about Europe, so to say, before the war. But he gave me the address from his parents, they lived in Cleveland. So I wrote a letter to Cleveland. And there I explained to that Hollander family who I am, where I come from, and so on and so forth. And I'm looking for family, and I said, don't worry, I'm not looking for money, because people try to look for help. I says, you could see I'm an officer in the army, I have everything, I'm looking for family. A letter came back from Cleveland that Mrs. Hollander was my great aunt, she was my grandfather's sister. No, my grandfather's name was not Hollander, it was Rosenberg from my mother's side.
But you knew
She
that
married a man by the name of Hollander, totally coincidental. But the name was,
it's a coincidence. Yeah.
but through this, we found out that we are related. This Mrs. Family Hollander wrote me that I have an aunt was here in Palestine at that time it was, and she was with the British Army, and she was stationed in Cairo. And she sent me her address. Through this, I was able to find out her unit's telephone, and I had a telephone, an army telephone, and I called her, and she said, yes, she's my mother's sister, she lives there. And I told her I'm looking for relatives. So she wrote back to me that I have a first cousin in Sweden. That was her sister. So I wrote to Sweden. And I wrote her, and she answered yes, that she's in Sweden. And we corresponded, I don't know, for
in which language?
Pardon?
In which language? In Yiddish?
In Yiddish, that is correct.
And both of you can learn Yiddish fluency, yes?
So today is not so good, my Yiddish, but at that time it was better. But it's all right. In Yiddish, I wrote to her, and we corresponded. And then she wrote.
Das ist euer Mamelusch.
The Mamelush.
Yes.
It's great Yiddish.
Yeah.
Yes, for me was already different because I was in Yugoslavia before the war, but you're not here to hear my story.
Yeah.
You hear her story. So I want to make this, as I said, too. Then I got a letter from her sister that she got married. She found a boy from our area, and she got married. So Mazel Tov. And then she writes, in this letter, she wrote to me, what about you? You are also about marrying age. But I couldn't tell her what I'm doing. I wasn't supposed to do that. So what about you? So I answered her that I'm very busy. I know there are a lot of girls, and I have a lot of girls. I said, but you know, I thought I was going to marry you after the war, which was a joke. But you didn't wait for me, you married, so no, I don't know what I'm going to do. A couple of months later, as we were corresponding, she writes back to me. She found a sister in Belgium, and that was this lady. So I wrote to her a letter.
Also in Yiddish.
Yiddish, yes.
They had the letters for many, many years.
Right, yeah. So I wrote to her a happy wife and so on and so forth. And in fact, I wrote to her, keep this letter, it may be interesting someday. I didn't write to her, I married her or anything. We started to correspond. But as we corresponded, we became a little closer. But then it turned out to be that she wanted to know what my future is. And I have told her my future is I want to go to Palestine. It didn't exist yet. That's my future. She wrote to me that she only wants to go to America because she found her sister is in America, and this is the only sister that survived from 9 children, and that's her future. Fine, but the correspondence was going on and it became a little warmer. One day,
Stop a little bit now. When I got liberated in Turgo, and the American liberated us, and after that the Russian came on top of us, but we could not
Because
stay.
it was.
No, but they did not let the girls live, you know, the Russian soldiers. So we had a Romanian woman, a doctor, and she says, girls, let's get together, and we go away, we walk away, and we walked away to Leipzig. We went to Leipzig in a big camp. There were a lot of people there from all kind of camps. And I
It
wanted
was also under Russian.
no, what is already under American.
American in those days?
Yeah. And I wanted to go home. And then we met an officer from England,
a Jewish.
a Jewish man, and we were 3 girls together. And he says, I don't want you to go home because there is no home. So he says, I'll send you wherever you want. I'll send you to America, I'll send you to Israel. But don't go home. And we were waiting for him and waiting for him. He used to come and to say hello. But one day we had enough of waiting because people, the Czechs cars came and they talked to the people, come home. Excuse me. Come home, come home. So, but I didn't know who is that. But I knew that my sister is alive and she's in America, so I don't want to go anymore home. And then we found out that we are going home, and so he took us off on the train, and he says, you wait and I'll put you wherever you want, Palestine, of America, but don't rush to go home because there is no hope.
Okay.
She means Carpatharus when she was born.
Yeah, I understand.
So nevertheless, he took us off on the train. One day he comes and he says, I have found a trip for you. I found a trip for you that a Polish group is going to Belgium and they're going to work in the coal mines and first get away from Germany and then we'll see later. So he put us into a Belgium group and we went to Belgium. Belgium already somehow, I don't know how, but they found out that we are on the train.
You were in the
The
Ardennes.
Jewish community.
The Jewish
You
community.
were in which town?
In Belgium, Bristol, you know.
In Bristol.
Bristol.
Yes.
So they found out
The
that,
Ardennes. Yes.
right, they found out that we want to go to Israel, we want to go to Palestine, but we went away from Germany. So he said, wait, I'll send you. All of a sudden he comes and he says to us, I found something for you. But one thing, you have to go on this transport, but you don't give out for nobody who you are, because this was a Polish group that they were going to the coal mine to work. And of course, when we came to Namur, there was already from the outer mine, you know, like the joint, they looked for us. They took us off the train, and of course, they put us in, I was in a home. And there I started to find out about David, about my aunt, and that's how this all started. That I had family, and that's how we were made our own life.
Fine. Fine. Marvelous. It's
So
marvelous
now-
to survive, and it's marvelous that you make, your own life again.
Right, right. That we were in a Jewish home, and we were girls only. And I went out, started to go out to work, because that was my profession, and I worked in a salon. And I found out that my sister is alive, that he is alive, and that's how life started for us.
Okay, so now you were born in
Czechoslovakia.
in Czechoslovakia in those days,
Right.
which later on became the Ukraine today.
Ukraine. So it says
Yes.
there is no home for me, he said. That officer.
Do you remember something from the area, let's say, about Mukachievo or
Yes, I was buying.
Give me
I
the
was
mic.
learning how to sew because we were 9 children, and we wanted to have professions. We wanted to be on our own. So that's where I started sewing. And I went to school in Czechoslovakia.
what was
to
your
learn pattern.
age? What was your age in the beginning of the war?
It was in my early 20s.
In the 20s? In the
20s when you
20s or
Less.
seen 6.
younger?
Younger.
Younger.
Younger. Yeah, I was around 16, 17.
Or something like that. Which means in 1939 you have been about 16 years old.
Right. And I came here to show you that.
And then the war break on.
Are you coming back to the
Yes,
war?
I'm coming now back to the war.
I was already in Munkac. I wasn't home when the war broke out. I was not with my family. I was working, I was learning how to sew, and that's a normal life I had. Until Germany came, and they took us to
Do you remember in what year it was?
the years. I don't think I could tell you.
It was, let's say,
Before the war,
no, when the German came in, when the German occupied the area
by us.
at your place. It was in 1944.
Four.
It was as they occupied Hungary
They came.
after the Horthy's regime fell down.
Right, so they came to Munkac, and also they took us away from our homes, and they sent us to Auschwitz.
But you have been sent directly or via a ghetto or via a
Yes,
place?
we were in a ghetto.
In a ghetto, yes.
I was in a ghetto,
In,
Munkac, and then we
in the
went-
ghetto of Mukachevo.
Yeah, and then I went with my uncle and aunt and her family to Auschwitz, and there we
It
parted.
was night, day when you
It
went,
was daytime,
daytime into the train.
right.
And it was not a regular train.
No, it was that's not for a passenger train, like for cows, for regular train.
A lot of people have been in this
And one-
in the van inside.
Right.
How many for?
A lot of people, because we were so tight that there was not too much room to move around.
It took you a long time until you arrived in Auschwitz.
In Auschwitz, it was a few days that we were going. And
Stopping from time to time.
time to time.
And in those days, they brought you water or bread or something?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And my aunt used to say, go eat something, take something, but nobody could eat, nobody could drink. We were just numb.
How many days it was? You
It was
remember?
about probably 2, 3, or 4, I really don't know. But we were going and stopping and going and stopping. And wherever they can, they pushed in more people on top of us.
So the
There I-
train stopped in a station and then they put other Jews inside.
Right.
And you don't know what was the names of the places
No.
that you
No.
went through.
No. We always saw farthest and farthest and farthest. not in the cities.
On the way, people jumped out from the
No,
train?
but everybody was depressed. Nobody spoke. My aunt says, "Do you have a brother there? Why don't you feed him?" I just couldn't do it.
And suddenly you arrived in Birkenau,
Right, in Auschwitz, right, Birkenau.
in Birkenau,
Birkenau.
directly.
Right, and there we had to get undressed.
Yeah, before they took you to dress you and so on, let's call it. The train arrived in Birkenau. You went out from the train,
Right.
and there were what? What have you seen? The first thing.
Soldiers. I mean, I saw uniforms.
It was day or night or night?
Daytime.
Daytime, yes.
And they said rechts, right, left, you know, right, left.
Yeah.
Right.
I speak German, so you.
Okay. So he says right, left. And somehow he didn't send me, I went with the young girls were going. And I never parted to my aunt for the entry. We just,
Do you remember the picture where it was?
it was an
It was near a bridge or something like that.
It was just a train, you know, like
Yes, a ramp.
around.
Yes.
And there they had made selections. You go right, you go left, you go.
Yeah, but with the place where this officer stayed and made the selection, it was. Do you remember something about this place? It was, let's call it a little bridge or something like that.
It was field.
A field.
And a little bit further we saw something more that probably that was already the lager, you know, that was already.
Yeah.
So we saw a little bit. So nobody selected me. I went with
It was a lager in both sides.
right.
In both sides.
And nobody selected me. I saw the young girls are going this way. I also went. I didn't say goodbye to my aunt, or they didn't say goodbye to me. We just parted.
And they took you to a place.
Right.
Do you remember a name like sauna?
No, name I did not see there. But I saw...
No, do you remember that they call a place named sauna?
No.
No. It was a huge barrack.
No, we came
The
to...
place where they told you to get undressed.
No, we came to a big field there.
Yes.
We go down from the train.
Yeah.
And there were Polish boys and there were Jewish boys. I mean, and they spoke to the mother, gave away the child. That they were busy with taking away the babies from the mothers, and they sent them rights and left. And then I walked myself. I saw.
Yes, but you walked through what?
But a field.
A field, not a way.
No houses, nothing. Just a field where they came in.
It was not some kind of a road.
No, that I don't remember. I just remember that I walked by myself.
And do you remember that you have been turned to the right or to the left?
After I went from the train.
No. When you start to walk in the field, after what we call the selection,
Right,
you started to walk.
right,
Schnell, they called it. Yeah, you remember it?
right.
And then, do you remember if you went to the right side or to the left side?
I tell you, I made my own decision because I saw the family was going this way and the young girls weren't going that way.
Yeah.
So I also went with the young girls.
Okay, so you went,
I walked.
you walked with all the group to a place where what happened there?
There I saw already barracks.
Yes, on the right side or on the left side, on both
Let me
sides?
say, I walked this way, so only on the left side.
On the left
No,
side,
on the right side.
on the right side.
Right.
And do you remember some kind of a water tower?
No, I did not. I just saw fields.
You remember trees?
It
On
was
the
a
end-
little bit
on
fast.
the end,
It
on
was
the
a little
end.
forest, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw
And you went through those trees, or
No,
you
excuse
stopped
me.
before the trees?
We went after the trees.
After the trees,
Right.
yes.
And I went and it was only field.
Only a field, there was no barrack there?
Not
a
yet,
big-
not yet. I had to walk
Oh,
to the
yes.
barracks.
No, I mean the place where
Stopped.
they took your clothes and they
Not
give
yet.
you?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. So there were
So-
all over German soldiers as we went down
Yes.
from the train. And then they tell you right, left. So I went with the young girls, and I went with the girls, and as we came walking, I started to see barracks.
Yes.
And we went, they sent us to a place where we were undressing.
Yeah. I'm speaking about this place.
Yes, yes. It
You-
was very close to the trains because I just
It
walked.
was very close
Yeah.
to the trains?
Yeah, it was close. It was close to the trains.
Let's say 10 minutes walk, 5 minutes walk, 20 minutes walk,
It was about 15, 20 minutes.
20 minute walks. Yeah.
We walked. And then we saw barracks, but we went between the barracks.
Yeah.
We walked.
You walked between the barracks,
Barracks, yeah.
and you don't remember a water tower
No
there?
water, no water. No, no. And
On the right side?
No.
Try to remember it.
No water. We walked just straight ahead.
Yes.
And there we stopped. They told us stop and get undressed.
In this building.
Building.
Yes.
And
And
they-
you don't remember if they called this building sauna or something like that?
No, I
No.
don't remember.
And you were undressed there, you undressed yourself there,
Yeah.
and they gave you some clothes to, or the wash?
They shaved us.
They shaved you,
I
yes,
had long
yes.
hair. They shaved me off.
Yes.
And we were waiting, waiting and waiting, and we were standing in the line. And then they came and they said, your right, and your left, and your right and left. And that's how it started.
And then they put you in
In a
another barrack.
Barrack at 24.
Do you remember, 24,
Yes.
23?
24.
And do you remember near this barrack there was an iron gate?
I just remember the barrack in the beginning that it says, Arbeit macht das Leben.
Yeah, Arbeit macht frei.
Frei, that's what I remember. And we walked till the barracks. And the barracks, they selected us, the barracks one. And I was in barrack 24. I
Yeah.
was in the middle of those barracks.
What do you remember surrounding this barrack?
Wires,
Wires.
like tall
Tall
wires.
wires, yes.
In the middle was the street where we walked.
Yes, and behind these wires there was another barrack.
There were other barracks, there were
Yes.
children, there were...
Yes, there was a children barrack and
Right.
another barrack in the left side, a
Right.
big one
Big
Which-
barracks. And
and
I was in Seelager.
in Zell.
Seelager.
Yeah, Zellager.
Seelager.
See.
Yes, number 24.
Yes, it was the women's lager.
Right. And of course, then we came without clothes already because they took away all my clothes. They gave us those schmutters, whatever they had to put on. And we tried to cut off from our dresses the length and to put something on the head because we felt very bad without the hair.
It was May, April, May
In the beginning of
of May, beginning of May.
Right.
And you met there some girls from your town or from...
I heard some girls are here and some girls are in this barrack and some on that barrack, but we did not go around because there was always Blocksperre or we weren't free to go. But of course they had like a wash room
Yeah.
and the water was like running and you
Yeah.
could wash yourself. That's all.
Do you remember on the barrack that you have been in,
Yes.
there was in the right side a little room. Do you remember this room?
A little room, there were the Germans.
Not the German, there was the eldest,
Ilse Koch.
yeah,
She used to come for puts and if she saw anybody, she gave us zets. She was just with her whip,
yes.
But I tried to always get away from the crowd, and I did not push myself all over. And of course, the lager that I was, Mengele used to come there very often, because if transfers didn't come, he took from us, from that camp. And I was with my sister. My sister wasn't home, and I wasn't home. She was by my aunt, and I was by MD.
Drink a little water.
It's very emotional.
Yes. And we met with my sister. She was younger than me, and we were very happy that we had each other. And so
You remember the minute that you met her?
we met her some like, they brought her to us. We were half a block filled, and the other half had to come more. And all of a sudden I see her there.
How many days after you had arrived there?
It was maybe 2-3 days she came. She was younger than I. And she was also by an aunt. She wasn't home. And we were very happy to be together. And of course we slept on that bed together. And also Mengele always came one day. One day he came and he took her away from me. So I went to her. So he gave me a throw to this.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, it's all right.
In the middle, in the barracks, but like in the middle, divided, divided on one
Yes.
side, the other side.
Yes,
And he
yes.
threw her over there. She hardly could get herself together to come to me. And like this, he made more and more selections. One day he came, he took her away because she had a mark on the back, a birthmark, and for that he took her away. And I wanted to go with her, so he threw me to that thing, and that's how we parted.
This is the sister that went to Sweden?
No, that's a younger
No.
sister. It was in one of my aunts. She was a mom. She visited my aunts there, and that's where she came to.
And this was the last time that you have seen her?
Right. And I know that some of the girls who worked in the kitchen, they saw that she was going to they knew that they made it elected, and they know that they were going to the crematorium. He came always to that block. He came for selection. We didn't have any numbers.
You don't know why they didn't give you a number there?
No, we don't know. They did not give me any number. Nobody was because he kept the people there if transport didn't come, he came for selection.
So let's make a stop a minute. I would like to tell your daughter something. זה אומר ש... Okay, I will say it in English. It will be easier for you. When I ask you if you have, if she has a card, you remember I told you that there is a card for each inhabitant that have been there, for each prisoner, and which means that there is no card for her. Because otherwise she would got
But my
marked.
father also doesn't have a number. Yeah.
Okay, so which means also that there is no cards about them in the archives of Auschwitz.
I see.
I will tell you why I'm asking that. There is in Auschwitz an archive of more than 5 million cards. Not all of them Jews, only about 1 million are Jews, which those Jews who have arrived in Auschwitz, in Birkenau, or in Auschwitz are, got the number on their hands. and they were very efficient, so you can see in the car what happened to the prisoner when, in case he passed away, when he passed away, what was the reason, which was not the truth.
Really, I didn't know that.
I didn't know
Yeah.
either.
Well,
My
that's,
sister,
that's how we found about your father.
my sister had a card and she went to Sweden because she was sick after the liberation. She had
Yeah, but she
had
had
a
a mark.
She had a mark,
Yeah, but I didn't have
That
a
was
mark.
an older sister.
and all that, which means that she came to Birkenau before you,
Before me.
3 days before or 4 days before. Yeah?
That was the older sister.
older-
Yeah, I understand,
But I
I
did not
understand.
see her in Auschwitz.
You didn't saw her there.
No, I didn't see, excuse me, I did see her. When I went it comes back to me. When I went on a transport to Turku already,
Yes.
then then we went already to, where did I work? No, I went to, in Germany, I was in,
Leipzig,
not
Turku.
in Turku, right?
only Turku.
Yes.
Turku,
You told me about Turku.
Turku, but I went then
To the ammunition factory.
the ammunition factory.
Yes.
Yeah, in Germany, I don't know where it was. But she was in the Verkleidungskammer, she gave me clothes to put on when I go. I was nude, and she gave me clothes, I should wear this. But she was there, but I never knew that she was there.
But this is the older
The
sister.
older sister, and there
That's the
they
one
met,
that
that
was
she
the
dressed
bachelor.
me up, and that's what took me apart.
Mhm.
So she gave me clothes.
How many days you have stayed in Birkenau until they took you or moved you to Turgo?
To Turgo,
Yes.
How long were you with?
How long have you been there?
quite a long time.
In Birkenau?
Yes, before the crematoriums were destroyed, we left before, just a
Yes.
little bit before. And I was in
Which
Auschwitz.
means before August.
Yeah, right, and of course Mengele that was his place to come always to select people in case transports did not come, didn't come to Auschwitz.
Mhm.
And we were the one that block 24 was always on selection.
So one day they arrived, someone, and told
Yes,
you.
then an officer arrived, a German guy arrived, and he says he needs 250 girls for work to go. And he had the whole row of people, and he took 250 girls, and I was among them.
All of them in the same barrack?
No, there were two from quite a few barracks. He
Yes.
selected strong girls, and he took 250 girls to work in Turku.
So let's stop here, and I want to go back a little bit to the 4 days, the first 4 days that you've been in Birkenau.
Right.
Let's say, what was, the schedule of a day?
The schedule of the day, mostly we were in the barracks. Mostly we were in the barracks. We did not go out.
You waked up in what time, do you know?
It
Plus
was
minus?
night and day. We
That's
didn't
all.
know. But then I found my father that he was working in crematorium. We
Yes.
found out that I'm there.
And he was not far from you?
No, we were just one of ours.
Yes.
The
Therefore,
middle is the street.
this was the reason why I asked you before, if you remember that there was not far from your barrack
No.
another barrack
Right, right. That was
with wires around it.
That was my father's wife.
Yeah.
He worked in crematorium.
Yes.
He worked in crematorium, and I was lucky to see him almost every day. We talked through the wires, and he used to throw me a piece of bread. He threw me. One day he cooked a soup, and he threw me in a cooler the soup.
In anemia.
Yeah.
So, and he always told me, don't tell them that your head hurts. Don't complain anything that hurts you, anything. And we try to see each other almost every day. And everybody envy me that I have a father and I can talk with him. I mean, the people that were. But one day, the block person found out that,
Do you remember her name?
no, Berta,
Berta.
yeah.
She was a Czech.
She was a strong woman.
Yes, but she was from Czech.
And that I don't know. I can't tell you. But she was strict, but she was an hour apart, but she had to do whatever the Germans said.
Yes, I know.
And then had an Ellen too, her helper. But Germans used to come in and they used to lock the door there. I don't know what they did with each other. That's what we knew, that this soldier used to come always to that block after stuff. Nevertheless, let me just remember here that my sister was with me, and then he had a selection. And Mengele came and selected the wife. She had a mother's mark in the behind, and he took her in. And I went, and I told them, that's my sister, that's not bad. He threw me in the barrack. I didn't know. And she went on the other side, and unfortunately, my father knew that she went to the crematorium.
Do you remember if it was afternoon or morning when they brought you some food to eat?
To eat at night time mostly.
Mostly at night.
At night time mostly.
And what was the food?
Soup.
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 And bread?
No bread that we soak. No. Once in a blue moon we had a piece of soaked bread, somehow wet bread.
And in the morning, coffee or something like that?
In the morning we used to take celapel. That wasn't, we didn't have any breakfast or any lunch.
Or something to drink except water?
Well, I don't remember that they brought us anything. No. That doesn't mind that I remember.
Which means that because your father gave you some food,
That helped me.
it helped you.
Right. And of course the girls were envy, like I have a father and he gives me food and they don't have any. So I used to share with some, but how much could he throw on a stone a piece of bread?
He didn't throw some sausage or something.
No, he threw me a soup. Matter of fact, in a can, we still
Soup.
have that can.
Canteen.
I have the name, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I have the name, yeah, that he threw over to her. The
I don't-
rest from what?
I don't know how I had it always. I had it here, I had it there. Wherever I went of selection, I stick to that thing.
From what she has told me all these years, this particular Mimia she managed to save. Oh, I really don't know, but she saved it. But she says this Mimia, with soup, he threw her over the last time, the day before.
They saw each other.
They saw each other. In other words, according to him, I don't want to say it. She said, he said, you should know my daughter tomorrow is going to be Hoshana Rabbah,
Yeah.
and you should know that this is going to be my Yortzeit. And that's the Yortzeit we keep. That's what he had told her,
Do you...
and I have that Memia.
Yes, but now I would like to emphasize something.
Yeah.
If you remember something that happened there, that they blew up the crematorium or something
No,
like
I
that.
wasn't there anymore. I went to Togo.
You went to Togo a day before Hoshana Rabbah?
No, before I didn't know at that time that they blew up the crematorium when I was in Togo. I did not know because I went before.
So you wasn't in the camp on the day of before Hoshana Rabbah?
No, I wasn't in the camp. Because I went on a transport to work in Germany.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, when we were in Torgau, we were also staying still up there. And the Oberschaftführer was very good to us because he says when the liberation will come, that we should tell what a good person he was.
Yeah.
You know. So
But this was the end of the
That's the
war.
end, right.
This was the end of the
Yeah.
war, and the Germans
That-
tried to
One-
behave themselves a
right.
little bit.
One thing I want to tell you, he used to take us every week for a shower. We went for a shower. We ate with the Germans in the dining room, but they ate, we ate too. because we were important people who worked in the
Ammunition
ammunition
manufacturing.
factories.
And so let's go back to Birkenau, to the day that they are taking you, those 250, and you among them, to Turgo. Do you remember what happened in this day?
In these days,
Yes.
of course, they cut us our hair. They gave me clothes that it was short.
No. I'm going back to the day that you left Birkenau on the way to Turgo.
Oh, then an Oberscharführer came.
Yes,
And he
yes.
selected 250 girls, and they packed us up in a train, and they took us to Turgo.
Yeah, but there was a procedure, which means they dressed you again, they gave you some clothes, then you met your sister.
there in the clothing company.
Yes. Then, and they give you the dress, and they give you something else, some food for the way.
They gave us a bread,
A piece of bread.
a whole bread.
A whole bread, yes. And they put you on the train.
And they brought us to Turgo.
The train was inside Birkenau or outside the gate?
I think outside the gate.
Outside the gate.
Right.
And in this time you have seen the sign Arbeit macht frei.
I saw that sign already when I came to Auschwitz.
When you came inside Auschwitz,
Right, I saw that sign even from my sailor, from the lager where we were, I saw that sign.
yeah. Okay. So they took you to the train, they took you out from the camp,
Came
marching through the gate
to the
to the place where there was a big, huge field.
Right.
Yes?
Right.
And you went inside this train.
And they took us to.
Which kind of a train it was?
It was better the train that was what they brought us to
Oh,
Auschwitz.
the same kind of a train.
Yeah, but it was a little better condition.
Yeah, because there were a lot of people crowded
Right, we had
in one van.
250 girls we were.
Yeah, and you've been in some vans and not in one.
No, we were in one unit. I mean, we
Yeah,
had
one unit, but one train, but there was.
No, you're talking about the train.
Yes.
No, we weren't all. They had us 250 girls. I think maybe 3 trains we occupied or something like that.
3 vans.
But they treated us very different
Mhm. And the train moved
to Turgo.
in one time, or it stopped on the way. Have you been able to look outside the train?
Yes, fields we saw.
You have seen fields.
Fields, mostly fields.
So, if I will describe you now something, perhaps you know about it, perhaps not. Usually, when they took those, Turgo is in a direct line from Auschwitz via Zaglembia, which is Schlesien, Niederschlesia.
Yeah.
You know what Niederschlesia is? It's a part of the country of Poland today.
Oh.
So you went through this way to Turgo, which is not far from the towns of they call it Leipzig and Dresden, not far,
Correct.
in between those two towns.
That was a camp that
Yes.
were Germans working, mostly Germans, and also Polish girls I met,
Yes.
and
Jewish or Polish?
Polish girls,
Yes.
and also German women. And of course they found out that I know how to sew, so they set me by the machine, and the German girl was cleaning the barracks.
And they were also prisoners, those girls,
Well, I think they were volunteers.
volunteers.
Yeah, from Poland, volunteers.
No, I'm speaking about the Germans.
The Germans, that I don't know what they were. The
You don't
Germans. But they also were always with us there. I cleaned there for them the barracks.
They cleaned or you
No,
cleaned?
in the beginning I cleaned, but they found out that I know how to sew. They set me by the machine and they cleaned.
And But you told me in the beginning that you took out from on the factory of the ammunition.
Yes, Hilson. In the beginning I was
Yes.
working.
Oh, so this was the beginning.
Yes, and then
And then they
came to look for girls to clean for the Germans.
oh, and then you became a cleaner.
Right.
Let's call it like
Right,
this.
a
Yes.
cleaner, and then I became a sewer.
Uh-huh. And few weeks later, you were liberated.
Right, we liberated by the Americans,
Yes.
and then the Russians came. But Donetsk, when the Russians came, the girls were, everybody was screaming because they want to live with the girls, and the girls didn't want. So it was going on terrible things. So we had a doctor, a lady doctor. He says, girls, it's no good to stay here. We have to get out from here. And we get out, all of us, and we walked to Leipzig. From
You
Torgau
walked,
to Leipzig.
which means it took you about 4 hours walk, something like that.
Right. And there I also was in a camp, but it was already free. That was after the liberation. But I must point out once, that when we got liberated, the American came to liberate us, and they took out the Sefer Torah. And they benched us.
Do you remember the name of the rabbi?
No.
Hirsch?
I don't know, no, but it was beautiful scene. No, but the Russians came was the opposite.
You see, the Americans liberated this part,
Yeah, I know.
and then there was
They
the
came
Potsdam
from, they
Agreement,
turned like that.
where the Americans went out and the Russians took over.
No, because there was an agreement between,
I say
Right,
according to the Yalta Agreement.
Yalta,
Right,
or Potsdam,
right.
Yalta.
Then the Americans, then we were free in Leipzig already. Everybody could go wherever they wanted.
And you have stayed in Leipzig?
And stayed in Leipzig, I think I told you, I stayed in Leipzig for a few weeks, and then we wanted to go home.
And this officer told
Came
you,
and says there is no home for
no,
you.
it was a British one.
A British, right, from Britain. A Jewish officer
Officer
says
from
there is
Britain.
no home for you.
Are you sure that he was British?
I think so, because the
He
accent.
wasn't an Israeli?
No, I don't know. He didn't want us to go home. He spoke English.
So let me tell all the people here. Usually, there were from the Jewish Brigade of the British Army people who were stationed especially in the places around to take them and to persuade the people to go either to Israel, Palestine,
Of America.
and they arranged it. So part of them were, for example, like Herzog, who was the president. Yeah, he was an intelligence officer. He was a major, very high rank for a Jewish guy to be, and he was an interrogator of the later on of the war criminals before the Nuremberg trial. And he went through all those places where there were Jews who were liberated, and he told them, okay, so, and he took notes from the people and gave them the advice to go to Palestine. And if they want, they will arrange it for them. And this was the Aliyah Bet.
I'll say this. Was he in the British Army wherein it was written on the shoulder patch Palestine?
No.
No, I didn't see it.
That's
No.
different. So then it was
No.
all British Army because the Jewish
Yeah, they have the Palestine Corps.
Palestine.
Yeah.
He introduced himself that he is a British officer.
Might be that it was
He
Vivian.
was a
It might be
British
it was
officer.
Vivian, because usually I know this story from him himself, and from his son Mike, not
Yeah.
from Yitzhak.
But he watched us so like children, and he did not let us go back to Czechoslovakia.
Mhm.
And then he arranged us to go to Belgium, to the coal mine.
It looks like that it was Valkyrian.
Beautiful
Kind of.
person.
It looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Wow.
I have to check it.
Yeah.
I have to check it.
Yeah.
It's amazing
It
how you
was-
put the pieces.
It was actually not
Right.
everywhere the same, I will tell you.
Yeah.
And I was liberated by the British, and eventually, about 2 weeks later, the Jewish brigade also came in.
Amazing.
Yes.
But they didn't, in no way did they act Jewish or anything. I only found out because I saw Palestine.
Yes.
And that's when I basically made my first connection with them and so on, and they told me they can do nothing because the British are on top of them. And what they did for me, for my connection, because I wanted right away to volunteer to go in. When I saw Palestine, I wanted to join that army. And he told me it cannot be done. He says, there's going to come a time somebody's going to come and take you. And that's how
So-
my career started. But they could not do anything. They acted really like British.
I would like to ask a very touchy question because I want to wake up your memory about the day that your father told you that tomorrow is Hoshana Rabbah and that you have to
Have is your time.
have his your side. But you said to me before that, or later on you told me that you have been moved to Turgo some days before Hoshana Rabbah.
Some days later,
No, before.
Before. So how